This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having my new fast friend, Lorenzo Lewis, coming from the Confess Project, Little Rock, Arkansas, changing lives one mind at a time. Lorenzo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the warm introduction. I look forward to speak more about what we're doing and hopefully to be an impact to the listeners and those who will be involved.
So, Lorenzo, I saw you on CNN probably about 3 weeks ago, and we reached out to you. Mental health has been something that has kind of been something that we've been striving to help manage in the fitness industry. Yet most of the operators in the industry are more focused on physically, how are you doing? And we're going to make sure that we help you with your exercise regimen, but we haven't really been able to figure out a way to also help people with their mental health. So, maybe give a couple of minute talk about, the initiative that you have and then what you're kind of turning barbers and hairstylists into, mental health kind of first line of defense therapists. And then I want our audience to think broadly about like how we can enhance relationships that we already have.
Absolutely. So the Confess Project is it is America's first mental health barbershop movement. We are a grassroots organization that is committed to building a culture of mental health, particularly for young men of color and their families. But our work does rivet across not only minority communities, but the broader community, because we realize that when we work with subgroups and that are very underprivileged and marginalized, that does help to strengthen the economy, that helps to strengthen our communities, and our communities become healthier and stronger. And so my personal story of being clinically diagnosed with depression, I realized that I had my own personal struggles and my own journey, but I was also privileged to work in the mental health field for the next decade following that. And so I saw that there was a huge gap in not only addressing the population that we're serving, but there was a huge gap in really authentically reaching people where they already were. And so I had during my youth, I grew up in a beauty salon. My aunt owned a beauty salon. And so I remember that salon being a place where people's lives changed. And so I took what I had personally and professionally, married the two, and that's what the Confess Project is now. We are this unorthodox movement that is meeting people where they are, celebrating folks that have not been seen and heard, and really giving people the tools and the techniques to change the lives of their community and those around them.
So Lorenzo, I grew up, I had one relative that, my mom used to always say like cousin so-and-so, is in therapy. And it was always, deemed as you don't want to go to therapy type of thing, that was kind of a bad place. And then as I grew up, and probably only over the last 5 years, I realized that, talking to a therapist was almost like the equivalent of like going to a personal trainer. Like, so I'm exercising my body. I'm actually going and talking to someone and, kind of sorting out what's going on in my brain. So I think like over the last 3 years or so, like having Michael Phelps, do those ads where, you call mental health specialists and kind of people who are leaders and role models being much more open about the struggles that they have, even though on the surface it looks like, hey, I'm super successful, but there's something else going on. So, how have you been able to take, a barber and empowering them to become a mental health specialist and having them kind of be like this first line of defense? Because obviously they're a great listener to begin with, because I've never went to a barber who wasn't a good listener. It almost like comes with the trade, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're very specific about training our barbers to be advocates. We realize that by being an advocate, that is a lifelong learning curve that they will experience, in which will continue to let them propel to just be a better barber. And so barbers are naturally taught to detail how to use shear, use a blade, use sharp objects on their client's hair to obviously act in some form of grooming service. But that because of that intimacy, they can be good communicators, and they can learn how powerful validation is. So we train them in, active listening, positive communication, how to reduce stigma, and how to validate their client's response. And so during those barber techniques and the activities that they're engaging in during the service, they're able to now enhance this through what they already do. And I think because barbers naturally will deal with a client, it may be a kid they would have dealt with for their whole life. And so maybe that kid is the only person that barber has seen consistently. It may even be more times than him seeing a physician. And so without a doubt, we are training them in a lifelong perspective to be very good peer supporters and a community care model that allows them to be an advocate. And so by being an advocate, they're taught these skills. They're learning how to refer a client because barbers simply cannot solve the largest issue. We realize that, there are therapists, there are trained professionals, but they're there to be in the gap because we realize that most of the people that may visit the shop will not be able to or may not have the opportunity to even reach a therapist. And so barbers stand in that gap to help to change that trajectory and to move that forward for their loved ones.
So, one of the reasons why I reached out to you was I was thinking about the connection that I have with my personal trainer, who effectively is also, my friend now and my therapist, even though he doesn't know it, but I kind of confide in him and I've got this relationship, but I've also have like the proximity of space. So like when you think about a barbershop, and the environment there, and you got potentially like, chairs kind of a little bit on top of each other, do you recommend they kind of like turn up the music so there's a little more, intimacy and, they're able to confide in each other more? Or have you thought about the spacing, or how does it work? Or do people get so in a zone that it doesn't matter?
So typically what we do is, pre-COVID, and even whenever the time is right enough again, we train barbers in the space that they cut hair in. And so their clients are there, the barbers are there. And so the Confess Project, myself, I want to give a special shout out to my engagement director, Darnell Rice. We engage the barbers through a training which typically lasts about an hour. Well, post that training, they're added to an online community in which they're able to get the enhancements, coping skills, webinar, peer support. They're in there with all the other barbers that went through the same training that they have. And so there's where there's a growing community, right? Ongoing, we also host, again, these different calls. The curriculum is extensive beyond them becoming an advocate. Now what's happened is during COVID, we have created an online course in which this allows for barbers from across the country to go through the same training that's happened in the shop. And so typically what happens after this is that the barber is charged with the information. They have the certification as an advocate. They understand the techniques. And so from there, they are just in a position to step in when necessary. And so I think it makes it where it's a capacity building model. So they're trained, they understand the technique. It's not more of them engaging with the client, asking, are they going through bipolar or are they having an anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder? It's them doing what they normally do, but they have these skills to engage that will help to increase access to mental health services.
Is there a pretty good network besides the groups that you set up? But, you're in 9 cities now, or at least from the last YouTube video 14. I looked at. 14 now, yeah. Okay. Once there's, a diagnosis, and obviously I'm assuming it's got to be, voluntary and conventional, it's got to be voluntary between, the client and the barber, where the barber can say, hey, look, there's like this mental health clinic, or, there's a group here. Is there kind of, I don't want to make it sound like there's like a lead generator of like mental health patients into other more professional groups that deal with mental health that are, for profit, or, groups that are in that network, but are you kind of tied in, or is that kind of like the next phase to say, hey, look, you have this, like we've got this relationship with this hospital or this community group. Is that kind of where you're headed?
So, we have what we call an RFA, referral agreements, referral relationships. And so, yes, in each city, 14 cities, we have a lead ambassador there of each city. Each city receives a chartered body. We require at least 10 barbers to form as an actual chapter there. And so that barber coalition have, again, a appointed barber that leads the cause. But those barbers also, particularly that ambassador, they are aware of where the actual relationship. So each city we have some form of clinician. You're right, in hospitals. Like here in Little Rock, Arkansas, we have a couple of partners we work with. I know we were Justin Johnson, Tennessee. We work with a private practice there. And so, yes, another thing is we provide the barbershop. Each barbershop gets a poster. And so on this poster, it recognizes the crisis hotline. And so if someone is going through suicidal ideation, they know the number to call. One reason why that's important, a part of mental health stigma is mental health literacy. People are unaware where the information is and where the resources are. And so we provide that literacy so that they know how to also mobilize and help themselves as well.
Do you think we've hit a tipping point where people are starting to get more comfortable raising their hand and saying, like, look, I need help, and it's not a weakness? It's okay to be vulnerable, or do you still think, we got a long way to go?
We were doing, the conversation has been started. I do believe that, on a macro level, we have a long way to go, because I believe that it's going to take a community of policy leaders, local leaders in towns, schools. There's still, I believe, there's still a lot of work to be done. But this is a huge historical problem. When you think about it, every community with mental health, it's looked at differently. You have different religion and cultures that view how to get help and strength differently. But I believe we've gotten the conversation started, right? And I think we need more individuals like the Confess Project on the front line. We need, those who are in the fitness industry that are, providing that health support, to also really be imagining, what does it look like to have a QPR certification, which is a suicide prevention certification. These are certifications in which someone can have and know how to save a life in a few steps. And so what does it look like for individuals that are on the front line to have tangible skills and techniques to not cure anyone, but to have that to help someone, be the best version of themselves. And so I think that's really where, our system, our care system really have to reimagine. We're reimagining our mental health system by training barbers and training folks that are on the ground. And so I would charge, folks that are doing this work or that are desire to do this work to reimagine how everyone around them can become equipped. It's just like CPR first aid. When you go and work in a setting with a lot of people, you have to have a CPR. Well, everyone needs to have some type of a QPR, which is, I guess, a suicide prevention first aid for folks that want to take their life by suicide. And so we should reimagine that people want to have these type of tangible certifications, and that's something that we offer as well at the Confess Project. It's just to see that folks can have these skills and techniques so they can help people in their community.
Yeah, I mean, maybe COVID is potentially a positive tipping point for policymakers and for corporations and for communities to understand, if you actually invest in prevention, whether it's pay for somebody's Planet Fitness membership, pay for someone maybe to get a haircut, and to have this 20 minutes, conversation or 30-minute conversation with a barber that's paid for by, I don't know, pick a brand or pick some pocket of money that's geared towards mental health or, geared towards, disease. Like when you start looking at the healthcare industry and the amount of money that it costs to take care of someone once they actually are sick. And then I see these commercials that drive me nuts about all the side effects that you get from taking some pill, that you could potentially solve with having a conversation and then actually going to the gym. You don't have to take this pill. I think you should have to, maybe get 5 haircuts and maybe take, 5 weeks of boot camp, before you're allowed to take one of these, antidepressant pills that becomes, a recurring revenue stream for some drug company that, could care less about us. So, as I think about what we were doing in the fitness industry, and I was mentioning before, but I'll mention it now, we're thinking about this shower curtain confessions and kind of turning personal trainers into mental health therapists. So, as you expand to 14 cities, do you see personal trainers and group exercise instructors potentially becoming certified in the Confess Project and using that as curriculum to potentially broaden your reach without actually having to go further than the cities that you're already in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I see this as a way of, again, as we stated, definitely trainers could become, trauma informed. They could become certified and being an advocate and recognizing the techniques to help. And so what we like to call this is peer support and community care. And that's a part of what we do at the root of what we do. And so when you're doing it that way, everyone is inclusive of understanding the impact and the changes that can occur. And also they're very equipped and educated. And so when you are educating folks that are in the community that provide immediate support and relationships and that have, imagine a fitness trainer in a health facility could have a maximum of social capital in a large city in which this could almost be some type of a pre-assessment that's being done as clients are coming through, signing up for services. And so, yes, I think that could be, it's just as they're doing, yoga and different classes throughout the month. This could be something that could be offered there. And so I think you're right. That is something we've thought about is training our frontline, tattoo artists, fitness coaches, folks who work at a bar, football coaches. This is people that I think we have overlooked. And as we talk about the unseen and the unheard, we assume that because they're not clinicians that they cannot be in the gap. But when you look at that, 1 in 5 Americans in America will have a mental illness. When you look at the atrocious numbers behind suicide and people dying by suicide every so many minutes in the world, these things are I'm sorry, but our health system is not going to fix it. And sure. so we as a community, we got to figure out how we're going to fix it. And so, I think that's our call to action.
Yeah, I agree. And we look forward to working with you on trying to make that happen, not try to, but to make that happen. So one of the things I thought was interesting when I was looking at your site, that you got a partnership with Gillette. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then, as you move this forward, I feel like a lot of these companies are going to need to start to really focus on, hey, how do I help my customers or my members? And it's actually my responsibility, not just, for them to buy products. That's what I feel like they should take their advertising dollars and turn them into dollars that are actually helping make their members or make their customers better people. So maybe talk about how this Gillette started. And, I got ideas about a lot of things, as you can tell, but like companies should be putting money back into their customers. It's almost like I'm investing in your product. I want you to invest in me. Like that's the trade. So talk for a minute about that, because I feel like that gets lost with a lot of our fitness providers and operators don't leverage the relationships that they should have with large multi-billion-dollar companies that they're taking their Coca-Cola water products and selling them, or, they got shirts coming in from Under Armour. What's the trade there? Like, I'm not a customer and you're a vendor. I got a partnership and I need something from you.
Yeah. And I believe, that we, I think that's important that we continue to enhance the conversation. And we also, and so again, back to our partners, Gillette, they are our partner, in which our work will also be expanded to larger cities such as Philadelphia, Dallas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and yes, and so some of the New York City. I'm sorry, and so in this partnership, we allow the Confess Project becomes more expansive because of the campaign that we are working with them is called the Best Man Can Be campaign, in which we are focused on helping men be their inner best and also outwardly good leaders in the community. And so in partnership with them, we are able to see that our work and their mission is amplified to reach more men in the community, to diffuse, masculinity, the rationale behind men, and different, dispelling stereotypes, and also to see that men can also have a good mental health and a good mental health equity in their community. And I think that's something that we are really huge on, and that I feel Gillette has been very supportive in our partnership, is because it allows the Confess Project to be the best that it can be. And also it gives us we wouldn't have been able to, I think, grow to become who we are without having such a one of the best grooming partners in the country. And so I think that in itself really allows our work to continue to be propelled further.
Well, given the cost of the blades, I think they should be putting some money back into the communities. So how do people know that they're going into a barbershop that has the Confess Project or, that program? Are there posters? Is there like a window peel? Is it on a website? How do you do that?
Yeah, so we should have if the map marketing team should be uploading, a map of all our cities.
You want me to check with your marketing team or you want to do it?
No, I can.
I'm just kidding.
It should be going up somewhere. We have quite a bit on the site, and so I think they were trying to find the best place where we know we can get the most people to see. But yes, we have window decals that we're sending out to a lot of our shops. Some of our shops have the posters, and so yes, we are looking to listing these different things. We're also about to start listing our barber ambassadors that are over our cities on our website. And so because we realize that the public needs to know who they are, people should know where these shops are. And because in our mind is we're creating these social mental health hubs that's going to help change people's lives. And so I think it's important that we also highlight our barbers and how they're playing a part in this too.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting parallel between, a personal trainer that just starts out. After you start talking to them, they say, hey, I'm NASM certified. I got a kettlebell concept certification. I'm a nutritious life certified. They like to say, hey, I can do a lot of different things. So I feel like you're also empowering them to say, hey, I'm not just the guy who cuts your hair or the woman that cuts your hair, but, I got a lot more to offer you, even though they already had that already. But for them to be able to kind of upgrade, their own status has got to be pretty empowering as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, these barbers walk away more rejuvenated, more empowered. Imagine that this is something that a lot of them uniquely haven't learned in barber school. And so what we're even doing now is that we're partnering with barber schools. And so we're wanting to know that if they enter into the field and becoming full-time entrepreneurs and going to own shops, that they can have this type of interaction, because it's really important. The type of trauma and interactions that a lot of these men have faced, I think it's a reality check for a lot of them once they get engaged, because they get to learn more about themselves than they did before. We've known people that's realized that they were struggling from sleep insomnia, that was realizing that drinking a lot was tied to a larger substance abuse problem, simply because we came in and had a training. And so you're helping to change people's lives because you're giving them another way of looking at themselves and how they look at their clients and their families. And so that naturally self-awareness truly does build upon good health and a good well-being. So when you're self-aware, you're typically going to, you're just going to be a better person. And so I think this program also gives them that empowerment and self-awareness.
Yeah. So you got any quotes that are, people would say, oh man, Lorenzo says that all the time, or any quote that you think about or live by that kind of resonates in your mind all the time?
Yeah, I would say that mental health is wealth. That's one thing that I've, this jersey here that we've started to wear. It's a custom football jersey, and on the back of it, it has mental wealth, because we realize that, and particularly the nuance around this wealth piece is that we have realized that most of our barbers they're in business for commerce. They're in business to make money and to take care of their families. It's an economic driver. And so because we realize that, we also have to understand that they know they have to also, just like someone have to put in to get in shape, hey, you have to put in to invest into your mental health so that you can become more optimal and become a more expansive entrepreneur. And so I think that goes across multiple levels, whether you're in a corporation, a fitness owner. When you invest into yourself, as you do in any other area of your life, you will multiply outwardly, whether that's financial, that's in your relationships, whatever that looks like. It's going to be an increase. And so I think I will leave that mental health is wealth, because no matter what that wealth looks like, it will be an increase somewhere in your life.
Awesome. All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to figure out the 14 cities. Once your marketing team gets that map up, I want to make partnerships with the local health clubs there. And then as we got these changes going on in the retail environment, maybe we get some of these barbershops, inside or next to the health clubs and try and, physically place people where, you've got this all wrapped together and make it easy for them. And there's nothing like a conversation. I don't care what you say about mobile apps and, social media. Like, this is about looking somebody in the eye and saying, I need help. And somebody else saying, hey man, I can help you. So I don't think that ever goes away. So I love what you're doing. Let's go Halo and let's make some stuff happen. I'm glad you got on with us, and look forward to making some serious change in this world. And I think you're a role model to do that. We're going to do it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Pete. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome, buddy. All right, be safe. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Talk to you soon. Bye. This is Pete Moore. As you know, I am a big believer in personal development. I got a time-saving opportunity here for you, recommending Dan Millman's 4 Purposes of Life. Go to audible.com/Halo Talks. You want to register there, get a free audiobook. It's $14.95 a month thereafter, giving you things that I do to make myself better, and hopefully it makes you better. Go Halo. Let's play to win.